What do you say, everybody? It's time for your favorite show and mine. It's time for Mick's Beer Review, and it is great to have a guy that I've been tracking down to get on this show to talk about his beer from Sunlab. And let me throw the Sunlab website up there. Look at those beautiful cans. What's up, Keith? How's it going, man?
What's happening, Mick? Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, look, really appreciate you taking some time today to be on the show. And let's drink a beer together. Now, before I even get going, I had to have you on because you guys are on my Kegerator in my home studio here, where we make the magic happen. And you've been very instrumental in me tracking down some of your kegs. And let me tell you, I mean, it's like I feel like Indiana Jones trying to get these things, right? Raiders of the Lost Ark. But,
the Holy Grail,
Yeah, man. I mean,
I like it. I like it.
there's spiders and snakes and big balls rolling down on me. But that's because you guys have created beers in the Hazy IPA world for me, which is what I really like, and people that watch the show know that I think are the best around. I love them. And you also do a lot of other beers too. But I'm just a huge fan of your hazies, and I was looking through your website. I probably had 80% of the ones that you put out. So congratulations.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, for all the Hazy IPA fans out there, what we do is we every month or so we come out with two new beers. One is always a Hazy IPA, so mix up the malt bill, the grain bill, playing around with the different hops out there. Also do a lot of fruited sours, a bunch of other beers as well. So if you're that Hazy fan, we always got something new and exciting for you.
All right, look, before we get into, I'm going to ask you a question. You answer it. While you're doing that, I'm going to pour me one of the hazies. It's the hit list, and I'm excited to talk about it. But tell me about Sunlab, and explain to everyone out there. You guys are a Miami company, but you're a gypsy brewing company right now, and you brew at Westbrook. At least that's how I got you, right? And I think Westbrook's a great beer company.
Yeah, for sure. They're amazing. Yeah, we're Miami-based gypsy brewers. So Westbrook is one of the facilities that we brew out of, very like-minded with a lot of stuff that we do. So that's one of the facilities that we're working on. We're also working at an additional facility down in Florida, Commerce Brewing, so another production facility there, with plans to get the brick and mortar going eventually down here in the county. So cheers, guys. Cheers
Yeah,
to everyone
cheers,
out there.
brother. Look at that.
Yeah.
So
So that's where we're at.
yeah, and look at that pour. I even went with like the hazy glass. Normally, I'm like a normal pint guy, but since I've got great company on the show today, I had to go with the the proper channels here with this.
I love a good snifter.
Yeah, smells great, man. This is another fantastic beer, and I didn't even try it, and I said, yeah, I want this because you guys have this reputation and of all these beers that I've had, where even the ones that aren't necessarily my favorite are still, if I scored them, there would still be a 4 above. We go from 5 down, and so your consistency on making great beers to me is something that separates you from a lot of the other companies that I've tried.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for saying that. It's what we kind of built a loyalty in is, people who have had our hazy IPAs and other styles of beer, they know that they can expect consistency within those styles. So when we come out with a new hazy, almost every month, people like yourself and other people are like, yep, just get it, give it to me, send it, because they are one and done. So it's like grab it now or it's gone. And, that's the whole model out there. People always want to try something new, fun and exciting. So we got it for them.
So when you started to, kind of build your own company, I know you'd been in the beer business for a while. What did you do in the beer business, and what companies and beer products were you a part of? I'm going to show you that right now while you're talking. By the way,
yeah, for sure. So I started off in the the sales and distribution side. I used to work for a small craft distributor many years ago, and then I kind of switched over to the brewing side. So I worked for a brewery just outside of New York City called Captain Lawrence Brewing.
Oh yeah.
So I was with them for many years, for over 10 years. All along, been home brewing, dabbling around in that fun stuff too on my own. But headed up the sales for Captain Lawrence for 10 years, and always kind of wanted to branch out and start up my own thing. And so it was a seed that planted many years ago, and decided to take that leap of faith in 2019. So here we are.
Yeah, Captain Lawrence. I've done a couple of those beers on the show, and I've been trying to get the Cookie Puss beer. Have you seen that? Like,
Yeah.
tell my family about the.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what's a Cookie Puss? Like, is that a bad word? I'm like, no. And when I was a kid living in Baltimore, where I was from, they were these cakes,
Yeah, Carvel,
Fudgy the
man.
Whale and stuff. So
Yeah.
were you there when they were doing all that stuff? It's pretty
I
funny.
was there when we first launched the Carvel series. Yeah, for sure. That was great.
Yeah, it's so funny. All right, well let's talk about hit list, and let me pop this up here. You sent me this right here, and I was excited because I got this long before I got the beer, and these two came out at the same time. We're talking about the hit list, which is on the right side. Love the can art, by the way, too, man. It's the same, but they're all different. With the colorations or whatever.
Yeah, thank you.
But this one's double dry hopped, Simcoe, Amarillo, and Chinook. It's brewed with 2-row white wheat, malted oats, and flaked oats. And then it says beautiful notes of stone fruit and citrus zest and a kiss of pine. Talk about this one and how involved in the brewing process are you when they're making these beers?
Yeah, so we're always up on deck when we're brewing, so right there with them when we're brewing the beers. They're great partners to work with. As I mentioned, we kind of play around with all the hops and the malt profiles as well. So this particular expression with Simcoe Amarillo Chinook is really cool because you get a lot of those citrus notes, citrus zest, stone fruit from the Simcoe Amarillo. And then Chinook, is going to kind of give you more of that like piney resinous touch of grapefruit in there. So it kind of adds like a different, dimension to kind of like your standard, call it Citra Mosaic hop profile beer. So we like to play around with different hops to give you different flavor profiles and have fun with it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I'm going to take a sip with you. I'm going to give you one of these. I love the can. Yeah, cheers to you, brother. Really, it's just they're always great, and I'll show you guys, and I'm gonna do the bigger screen here. Some of them are more hazy than others. This one's good. It definitely tastes to me, like an IPA. And what I've noticed too, and I think it's the Kegerator, but once you kind of get about 15 beers in, it for some reason the taste just gets better. Have you noticed that too?
No, I mean, no, but all good, man. Hey,
You'll take my word for it.
after crushing 15 beers, yeah, everything's tasting good at that point.
Wow, but I mean, just in general, like if people come over, it's like once you kind of get in there, and that just could be me, but we always talk about that, it's like it's better.
Keep it flowing, clear the lines out, flush them out, get it fresh, stir it up a little bit, yeah. For sure.
One of the things I love about the Sun Lab IPAs is that you guys are always at 7%. And I think for me, and I've said this on the show, and when Bricken used to do the show with me, we talked about this a lot. I just feel like that's the perfect ABV for an IPA. I feel like if I'm over that, you're talking about crushing beers, there's not going to be a whole lot of crushing. I'm going to be crushed.
You're going to be crushed.
Yeah, right. But if I get below that, I don't feel like it really has that kick to it.
No, I couldn't agree more, and that's kind of why we landed at that, that ABV, that point. I couldn't agree more. If I'm out and about, 7% is my kind of cap. If I'm searching a menu, that's kind of I start by ABV style and I go down from there. I'll enjoy 8.5%, 9% beer, but that's like one when I'm home at the couch. I want you to drink a few of these, enjoy them, and be able to, throw a few back. So for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. So that was something that you guys definitely targeted then when you started doing your own, hazies.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
So were you a big hazy IPA guy going into this?
Yeah, well, Hazy IPA is only, haven't always existed, but I've always been an IPA guy. So even back in the day, when I started off drinking my college, I was in, at UVM and then out in Colorado. So places that were more, advanced in the beer scene than the rest of the world out there. So don't get me wrong, we threw down plenty of kegs of Natty Light at the time,
Yeah.
but, I just have that 6-pack of Sierra Nevada or something else, nice Magic Hat, something like that in the fridge or on the kegerator. So I've always been a fan of the hops IPAs. And then, as the Hazy Styles IPAs came into the world, they took over. The beauty of them is, historically, it's a race to like, how bitter can you make this IPA? 100 IBUs, this and that. And they crushed out a lot of people's palates, and people didn't like them. And what they didn't realize is that they were adverse to the bitterness. So, with the hazy IPAs, the majority of the hops are done in the cold side of the brewing process. So there's very low bitterness to them. So you get all the flavor and aroma, but just super smooth on the palate. So that's why people are just loving them and crushing them.
Yeah, look, I couldn't agree more. Hanging out with Kieth Fekete, who's one of the owners of Sun Lab, founder. I'm Mick Gillespie, guys. As you hang out, don't forget to like and subscribe at Mick's Beer Review on YouTube. But I know a lot of you guys watch on Facebook and Instagram and all that, man. We just appreciate you hanging out as we talk about Hit List, Hazy IPA. It's on the Kegerator behind me. So I guess this is the Kegerator series as we hang out with Keith. And I think you just kind of nailed something that, to me, separates Sun Lab. And immediately it did. When I had your first beer, and then the second and the third, is that you guys have done a great job of not killing me with the bitterness. A lot of them are smooth. They're comfortable. You have it, but it's not overwhelming. And then, and then I feel like sometimes, like, you guys have been able to really highlight a lot of the different hops in a way where it's like the flavor just, it just absolutely, kicks ass. Like, I can't say it any other way.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We like, we like to experiment with the different hop combos. We want you to know what we're drinking, so we're always telling you what hops are in each different beers, and that way you can kind of like pinpoint what you enjoy the most. So maybe your favorite hop is Citra, maybe mine is Mosaic, maybe your best friends is Simcoe, and you can kind of identify all those and kind of blend them together and have a lot of fun with it.
So tell people where they can find Sun Lab, because this isn't go into the gas station, on the corner and find this beer. I mean, like, this is, for us here, Total Wine has it. And then as I travel, there's different places. I always try to find different bars that have it. And that's actually how I found you. I was in a bar, they had Sun Lab. I was raving, and then the guy's like, hey, by the way, Keith was here. He's the owner. And I'm like, well, give me a picture of that card. I'm going to call him up and get to know him. It's just cool.
Nice. Yeah, we're a small, craft brewery. So, all of your better craft beer bars, craft beer stores, we're distributed in about a handful of states. Total Wines carry us. In Florida, ABC's or Total Wines. If everyone's trying to hunt us down, feel free to hit us up on Instagram. I'm the one behind there, so I'll send you a list wherever you're located. We'll get you some beer in your hands, just like you did, Mick.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, I've talked about you so much, and it's great to have you on the show where, we can kind of throw this out there and people can be like, hey, take my word for it. I mean, you go in and you pick up one of those IPAs, those hazy IPAs. I promise you, if you're a hazy IPA fan, you're going to really love it. And it is worth the battle, like for me trying to get the keg, it's like, man, once I get it in there, I'm so glad that I was persistent, because you guys are so good at brewing. When you get your own facility, will you eventually increase distribution? I mean, is that kind of the role that you're looking at, or are you kind of happy with being like, really good, but hard to find sometimes?
Well, we're certainly happy with what we're doing, but we want to get the beer into more people's hands, no doubt. We did just launch some year-round beers in Florida only, so looking to hopefully expand that out into some of the other markets as well. But we're going to continue what we're doing with the special releases every month, so those will always be available where you can get them, and then slowly chip away and grow that distribution for sure.
Yeah, man. You got me excited now. I'm thinking
Yeah.
like, what are these releases that I might not have gotten to yet? You know, like I
Oh,
got to
yeah.
check those out. I'm gonna have to, go to your website and look, and then slide out there. All right, last question. Who were your inspirations beer wise? What were the beers that you drank? And I'm going to tell you mine. I played ball out in California at a town called Chico, and at the time there weren't a lot of craft beer places, but this place had one that is still amazing, right? Sierra Nevada, and then they would do this yearly release of a beer called Bigfoot, right? And everybody would run to the grocery store and get it, right? And it's like, it changed my thought about drinking beer, all those years ago. How about you?
I mean, Sierra Nevada was for sure one of them. It was one of the beers that I used to sell back in the day. I've been to Chico, the original brewery, so amazing beers there. A lot of the other beers that I was selling in my portfolio, Stone was another big one for
Oh, yeah.
IPAs back in the day.
Yeah.
I used to sell a lot of the imported beers too, so some inspiration from there as well. But yeah, man.
Is that kind of your role with the team? You do a lot of the selling part of it, or are you still behind the scenes brewing?
Yeah, we're doing everything. I mean, we're small, so you can be the accountant one day, you can be graphic designer, you can be selling beer. So, a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Well, that's great, man. So, let's one more time. Let's just to you. Thank you, Keith, and I appreciate it, man. Seriously, thank you for helping me and this guy has been fantastic behind the scenes. Just making sure that I'm connected with the right person, so that I've got their beers, and you guys that have watched the show know I love Sun Lab. I talk about you even if you're not necessarily on that episode. We could be drinking another beer, and I'm like, you know what? Hey, it kind of reminds me of something that you guys might have done. And if I say, hey, it's on that same level as Sun Lab, to me, I mean that I think that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, man. Hey, really appreciate that. Really appreciate all the support, and thanks for having us on the show for sure.
Hey, thank you so much. And guys, check them out again, Sun Lab Brewing. And this is Hit List Hazy. There's going to be one. They do a release every month, he said. So make sure that you check it out. And don't forget to like and subscribe as you hang out with us on Mixed Beer Review. And look, we're going to keep on going. I've got a refrigerator full of beer that we're going to be sampling soon. Work does get in the way of the beer reviews, but that's kind of part of it. So we'll be talking to you guys really soon, and cheers, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
Cheers, everyone.